Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. I'm hoping to get this filmed before it gets dark. This camera plays tricks. It's a miserable day. Started off white frost, bright, cheerful, despite the cold. The thing is, if you think about it, bright and cheerful and freezing cold, well, put some clothes on. Problem solved. You know, put a couple of layers on, put your big coat on, put your hat gloves and scarf on. It's still tolerable. What isn't is this miserable rain. That's for looking out the window at, not for going out in. I can't stand going out in rain. Drives me up the wall. And unfortunately we're getting so much of it lately, I've lost all interest in my garden because everything out there is soaking wet. I want to clear the leaves up, clean the patio off, make everything tidy out there. The leaf blower won't work when the leaves are soaking wet. I can't sweep up the leaves, not when they're soaking wet. And I don't want to be out there. So, you know, I've just lost interest in the garden at the moment. I've got the decking to do. Now, Hannah's down, not this weekend, next weekend for our Christmas lunch. And that gives us Sunday to ourselves. Now Hannah's going to want to do something in the garden, and what we had planned was to start attacking that hedge. That hedge to me is a lower priority. The decking to me is more important because I get so much enjoyment out of it, and I just don't want to do it on my own. So I'm hoping Hannah might be able to give me a bit of a hand, because most of those decking boards, if I get my claw hammer out and they'll just rip off, because what they're attached to is rotten. So I think they'll just pull off. Now they might not all pull off, but the majority will. And then that'll allow me to see what timber is required to fix it. And then I can go and get that. And if I got it, I can then phone up my son Tony and say, can you come down with all your tools and everything and help me put this lot back together again? Because he's got the, you know, the power screwdrivers and all that sort of stuff, power saws, and he's got all the tools. So, and between the two of us, we'd knock that out in a day and have it all back together, providing I had all the materials, obviously. So, yeah, as I said, the garden looks a mess at the moment. We've had to clear the decking off and all the tubs away from it so that we can move. And all that's stuck outside the window at the moment. You know, I'm just not interested in it all at the moment. I've just lost the interest. It will come back, don't worry. There'll come a time when I'll see little bits of green poking up through the undergrowth. And I'll think, hello, that's the first of the snowdrops. Or that's the first of the early daffodils. Back comes the interest straight away. So we will get there. Anyway, before it gets dark, today's video is an update on a plant that came to me as a total surprise. This is when you get a package that you don't expect. You don't know it's coming and it just turns up. You get the old bing bong at the door and I've got a package for you. You know, sort of thing. You sure it's for my house? Because I'm not expecting anything. Oh yeah, it's your address. All right, I'll come out and get it. And I unboxed it. And it's a bit special, quite honestly. That's how late in the day it is. Nearly tea time. So we will turn the camera around and have a chat about what we're talking about and why it's a bit special. And I can't do a comparison because I'd have to go and dig a video out from when I got it out of the box. And I've already done more than I want to do today, but it has grown an incredible amount since I got it. Now it's sat in clay pots to stop it falling over. It actually hangs. I treat it as a mount even though it's in a pot. This is Dendrobium hercoglossum. Now my specimen plant that I had that was absolutely massive and bloomed absolutely fabulous over many years, I had it a very long time, went downhill when I moved around here and it never recovered. So it ended up, the last dregs of it went in the bin, and then this turned up and it said the start of possibly a new specimen plant, and I believe that to be true because this is growing incredibly well. First of all, given where it came from, which is spiceotic plants, to get a plant that mature is unusual, but then if they can get them, they will sell them on. It's a matter of what they can get hold of. They will have these good plants if they can get them. And this must have come from the Far East somewhere, Dendrobium world. Cattleya world is west, Dendrobium world is east. That's just how it goes. Now this is in something that I dislike intensely, but I'm living with it. If you look at it, it's pieces of coconut husk. And what they do is they surround the roots, they put some moss around the roots, and they surround it with these pieces of coconut husk. And in this case, to hold it all together, they shoved it in one of these open pots. Normally it's just wired. Now, the roots grow into that cocoa shell, husk, yeah? And when you try and take it off, you mess the roots up. That's almost inevitable. Now, talking to the guy at Spiceotic, not about this plant, it was about a Cattleya, quite a long time ago if it was a Cattleya. So I can't grow those anymore. So at least 4 years ago and more. But basically he said, when you want to get them out, take a sixth times 3. So effectively you're taking half of it off, a sixth at a time. So a sixth, leave a sixth, take a sixth, leave a sixth. So you don't disturb all the roots at once. So take 3 pieces off and leave 3 pieces on, all roughly the same size. And then put it in your pot. Now this is rotting already, as you can see. It's had its day. This is good, because it means it will come off a lot easier. Now come the spring, when the roots come back into active growth, this will get either lifted out of the pot if it will come out, or cut out, and then we will try and remove this cocoa husk, or at least some of it, and then I can get it on a mount or in a pot, yet to be decided, one or the other. Probably do best on a mount because the canes do grow quite long, and you can see it wants to hang down now. It lives on one of my shelves at the moment like that, and you can see the canes aren't naturally turning bolt upright, they tend to be pushing out, and they will eventually become pendulous. That's how it grows. So just so that we can look at it, it's stuck in those clay pots to hold it upright. Now this has a very strange growth habit. It does have a few mealybugs. They were on it when it arrived, and they've not been totally successfully removed yet, but they've been cut right back. But there are still around. I keep my eye on it, gets a spray every now and again, and I wipe them off with my fingers, those I can get at. Strange growth pattern. If you take a new growth, like this one's quite a new one, so's this one, they grow upright. So they start to grow towards the upright light, the light above them. And in the first season, starting in late spring, early summer, they grow on at a reasonable rate until they get to the end of the season, when most dendrobiums stop growing. These don't. These carry on growing. That initial cane, so season 1 cane, grows on through the winter, slowly, but carries on growing. It will put on some new leaves and put out some new growth at the top, like this. Yeah, you see the new leaf inside there. And it will carry on doing that through the winter. So we now get to season 2 in the spring, and where it will start to push on. And it will end up with canes this sort of length, yeah, that are still growing. So when you get to the end of season 2, you've got quite long canes now, and they're starting to get heavy, because as the canes grow, the leaves get bigger, so they become heavier. So it's now starting to head out horizontal and perhaps start to tip over. And then you get to the end of the season 2 and you think, it's going to stop growing now. Not yet. It will carry on growing through the second winter into season 3. And in season 3 it will probably reach its full length, which will make it heavy, and it will become pendulous. Now it can bloom in season 2, but it's highly likely to bloom in season 3 to a degree, and then as we get to the third winter it will start to become deciduous and eventually lose all its leaves, probably through that third winter. And then in its next growing season those canes will bloom their head off. So it has an unusual growth pattern. This is a great plant, and this was sent to me by Insa to hopefully start a new specimen plant. And I think quite honestly we're halfway there, because out of all the ones I've seen at shows, my old one in its heyday was by far the best, and this one's catching it up. This is a good plant. It's a strong grower, and all I hope is that when I finally take it out of that cocoa husk, we don't mess the roots up too bad, and we keep it going, just keep it growing. As all these canes are growing, it's a relatively young plant because there are no leafless canes. There's 1 or 2 over the back here, but they're not full-size canes. These are the seedling canes, the little short ones that have been there long enough to have dropped their leaves. But all the actively growing canes are doing just that, actively growing. It's a good plant. It's a smashing plant. I'm well pleased with that. And thanks a bunch, Insa, for thinking about it. I presume you enjoyed the enjoyment that went with my old plant, especially when it was in its heyday at the old place, where it used to have pride of place, quite honestly. Delightful blooms that have a bit of something special about them. My battery's going to go in a minute, I've just noticed. We'd better get a move on then, stop the waffle. Basically the blooms are not large, they're a lovely delicate pink, they have a dark centre, and they hang down. So the best place for this is up near the roof somewhere, so that you can look up at the blooms. And when you've got bright light shining from above, they glow. The light lights them up if it comes at them from behind and you view them from underneath. Now obviously if you put one in a show, that doesn't happen. So the blooms actually look quite ordinary. They don't look that special at all. But if you can get them in that position, get it up with the light behind them and look at them from below, they are fantastic. I'll put some pictures up. Anyway, that'll have to do because my battery's going, my stomach's rumbling, and I want to finish my wine. So thanks for dropping by, thanks for watching, and thanks a bunch, Insa. That is a smashing plant. And to get a plant as good as that, that's a Dendrobium from Spice Exotic, is unusual to say the least, because a lot of their Dendrobiums are just a couple of canes strapped onto those bits of plastic with holes in. They don't look up to much. They can grow on. I mean, I've got a couple, you know, they do grow on, okay. But this one's doing well, very well. Every cane is in active growth, or virtually every cane. Smashing. Right, thanks for dropping by. See you next time.